Eli felt it before he saw anything. An ache under his ribs, a tug beneath his skin, like his wolf pacing just below the surface. He tried stacking lumber, he tried eating, he tried standing still. None of it worked. By dusk, the pull turned sharp, steady as a heartbeat, dragging him down the county road to a train station where nothing ever happened. The platform was almost empty when the evening train sighed to a stop. Doors opened, heat breathed out. A handful of strangers stepped down. And then, there she was, Mandy. Boots on gravel, a small suitcase, the same chocolate brown eyes he used to make laugh, the same mouth that said his name like it was a word for home. Older now, yes, hair longer, shoulders steadier, but his wolf surged to meet her with a wild, relieved sound. Only he heard. For a breathless moment, the world narrowed to a single thread stretched between them, humming with something older than either of their lives. She whispered it before she could stop herself, the nickname born in fury and kept in secret. Blue. A sound left him like a prayer finding air.
You came back.
They didn't rush each other. They just stood, caught and caught again, while the station returned to ordinary sounds, the clack of a baggage cart, a whistle somewhere too far off to matter.
Let me take you to the house.
He said at last, voice roughened by years he didn't talk about.
We can talk.
She nodded. Words could wait. In the truck, he kept his eyes on the road. She watched the way his knuckles whitened over the wheel on the bumpy stretch by the feed store, the pale crescent scar near his temple. It flashed in the corner of her vision and tugged another thread loose in her memory. 5 years old, her favorite library book hugged to her chest, the one about wolves and winter and adventures in the wilderness. A boy 2 years older stepped out from behind the cottonwoods, all elbows and summer dirt, curiosity like a dare in his face. "What's that?" he asked. "A book," she said, and spelled it in her head like a spell. "About wolves." "Wolves aren't in books," he said, quick and thoughtless, grabbed it, and it tumbled into the ditch. Pages drank muddy water like they'd been thirsty forever. Something in her snapped clean, her favorite book given to her by her teacher, and the only gift she ever received. She grabbed a smooth rock and threw with a child's furious accuracy. It clipped his temple. He sat down hard, touched blood with a surprised little sound, then looked up, more solemn than sorry. "You hit me. You ruined my book." "We're even," he decided with a serious nod. They weren't, not really. But that afternoon he followed her to Grandma Ruth's porch and drew her wolves on loose-leaf paper until his clumsy lines looked alive. He told her his name was Eli. She told him his eyes were blue, so she'd call him Blue. He rolled his eyes and wore the name like a medal. The truck turned up the lane to her grandmother's house. The porch sagged a little more than it used to. The maple had grown taller than grief. Eli cut the engine. Crickets resumed their knitting of the night.
I fixed the loose step.
He said, gesturing to the top stair.
Couldn't stand the thought of you tripping when you came back.
"How did you know I would?" she asked softly. He didn't answer. The wolf had known. That was enough. He carried her suitcase up. When he set it down, they were suddenly too close. The screen door clicked against its frame like a memory sitting up. The scent of old wood, mothballs, and cedar rose from inside. Her throat stung. She laid a palm on the porch post, steadying herself. The grain under her hand opened another door. Weekends at Grandma Ruth's, then whole seasons when her mother forgot or pretended not to remember. Blue waiting on the steps with a porch light he'd turned on himself. Porch swing creaking with the kind of comfort that doesn't ask questions. He carved a tiny wolf from cedar, left it with a note. "You are not alone. Alone misspelled, precious anyway." They built forts by the creek from cedar boughs and promises. They told each other everything and almost nothing, the way children do when every good thing still feels like a secret. At 8, the gray car came. Men in polished shoes said kind things that hurt. Temporary placement. Best interest. They lifted her while she kicked, while she screamed and bit the hand of the man holding her. They finally managed to push her into the car. She screamed his nickname through the window, palms splayed, "Blue, Blue!" And he ran, God, he ran. But his father and brothers held him back with hands that meant love and law. The sky was ominous with an oncoming storm. The air went metallic. She pressed her palm against glass. He pressed his to air. The car moved. The shape of his hand stayed with her across counties and years. She could never look at the sky the same.
I'm sorry.
Eli said, close enough now that she could feel the heat of him like a hearth you're not sure you're allowed to approach.
For the book. For being 7 and mean. For being 9 and your best friend and still not enough. For being 19 and not finding you. For the rest.
She swallowed. There were too many apologies to choose from. She set them gently on a shelf. Where did you look? She asked.
Everywhere I could.
He said.
My brother stopped me from pushing farther. My father said the old laws. My mother cried. I ran until I was skin and breath. It didn't change the empty.
The laws? She asked, though she already knew somehow. He exhaled.
There are things about me, about us, that you didn't know then. My family, our kind.
He watched her carefully, like he was setting down something heavy where it couldn't crush her toes.
We're shifters, Mandy, wolves. We change when we're old enough, we heal faster, we sense more, and sometimes, rarely, two souls get tied together. Fated mates. No one gets a vote.
Her first instinct should have been to laugh. Instead, the world clicked into place like a lock finding its key. Storms he'd predicted, lost things he'd always found, the way the woods liked him. And us? She asked. We're tied? His mouth tilted, wry and tender at once.
Since I was 13. Woke from a dream where you called me blue and the whole world smelled like cedar and rain. I thought I was dying or being born wrong. The wolf knew you. He has been quiet only when I ran hard enough to make him tired.
I dreamed of you too, she said, a little breathless with the relief of telling the truth. Not wolves. Not yet. Just blue eyes, a creek, the sound of paws in snow. When the dreams stopped, I thought I'd imagined you. When they started again, I bought a train ticket. He pressed the heel of his hand to his sternum like his ribs ached.
The bond tugged me into town.
The laws, she repeated, grounding herself in the practical, because the miraculous was too large to hold all at once. Human and shifter, it's taboo,
Old rules made from old wounds.
he said.
Humans fear what they don't understand. Packs protect themselves. Every story ends with a wolf alone. But none of those stories were ours.
He looked away toward the tree line, jaw tight.
But none of those stories were ours.
Silence moved between them, not empty, just full of choices. Crickets sang like a second heart. Do you want me because you're you? She asked quietly, or because something ancient decided for you? He flinched at the necessary cruelty of the question. He lifted his hands, palms up.
Both. If the bond were only a rope, I would have found a blade. I tried ignoring it. I tried outrunning it. I tried hating it. None of that changed how I love you.
It wasn't fireworks, that word in his mouth. It was a locked door opening the way doors do in good houses, softly, like they were built to. She stepped closer until she could lay her palm over his heart. It beat steady. He covered her hand with his, careful like he was afraid of spooking the moment. From the trees, a twig snapped. The hair rose along her arms. Eli's head turned with an animal precision that would have scared her if she hadn't already known. His body went still.
They're here.
He said.
My family.
Fear was a smart thing. It flickered and then steadied. She didn't step back. 3 figures came from the dark and stopped at the edge of the yard. The oldest man, broad shoulders, weather and years carved into his face, stood first. Beside him, the quiet, blue-eyed brother with the perpetual storm under his skin. The third, a woman with Blue's eyes made gentle by time and grief. Eli took hold of Mandy's hand.
Dad, Mom, Caleb.
Mandy, the father said, voice formal but not unkind. I'm Amos. He tipped his head toward the others. Beth, Caleb. Hi, she managed. Amos looked at Eli. You should have told us, he said, exhausted more than angry. We would have prepared differently.
I did.
He said softly.
You said no.
Beth's mouth trembled. She stepped forward, palms out, eyes bright. We said no because we were afraid, she told Mandy. Humans talk, humans leave, laws protect what we can't replace, and every story we tell at the table ends the same. She inhaled, straightened. But none of those stories were about you. Caleb sniffed the air like it told him things words wouldn't. She smells like cedar, he said, half to himself, half in wonder. Like the porch, like home. Mandy blinked. Thank you.
It's a compliment.
Eli murmured, the corner of his mouth tipping despite the moment. Amos scrubbed a hand over his face, something loosening in his stance. If you bind, he said to both of them, it can't be undone. We'll bend laws or break them. I'll take the weight either way. But you don't tell the world, not if you want to keep it. Mandy thought of all the things she hadn't told anyone because they sounded like myth. She thought of her mother's sharp hands and her father who was a blank line on every form. She thought of Ruth's warm tea and Blue standing in doorways and not leaving until she slept. I don't want the world, she said. I want him. Beth made a small sound that was gratitude and grief. Caleb nodded once like a reluctant soldier, finally agreeing with the battle plan. Amos exhaled, old fear leaving like a tired guest. Eli squeezed Mandy's fingers.
We can do it now.
He said softly, offering, not insisting.
We don't need a ceremony, just a vow, a bite.
He grimaced.
That sounded worse than it is.
A thing with teeth, she teased, because humor had always been her bridge over deep water.
A thing with teeth.
He agreed, relieved. Where? She asked. He glanced toward the trees.
The creek, it remembers us.
They walked down the path in a silence that wasn't empty. Fireflies stitched light between reeds. The moon climbed to its branch in the sky and sat there, steady. The old willow draped its hair into the creek, and the water whispered the same secrets it always had to those who listened. About their fort of cedar boughs, hidden where the creek bent. Trading dares, skimming stones. The day they got caught in summer rain and didn't run, just stood there laughing, soaked through, like the sky had decided to baptize them into some private world. The night she confessed, she was scared to sleep at her mother's house. He kept watch outside Ruth's porch anyway, seen and unseen, a lanky boy who believed his being there could keep monsters away. Eli stood ankle-deep in the creek. He lifted her wrist and kissed the tender skin where her pulse tapped messages. If you want, he said.
Say it first.
Mandy's voice trembled and held. I choose you, Eli, not because fate is stubborn, because I am. When it's easy and when it isn't, when it's allowed and when it isn't, always, forever. He closed his eyes like someone who finally gets the right medicine.
I choose you, Mandy, when you're laughing and when you're thunder, when my wolf howls and when he sleeps, when the world says no and when it forgets to say anything at all, always, forever.
His teeth pressed into her wrist, quick and careful. Heat sparked, bright and surprising, not pain so much as a door opening. The bond flooded her, images, flavors of feeling. A boy counting fence posts to calm himself when he couldn't reach her, the hollow ache of Sundays without her, the fierce joy of fixing broken steps because it felt like preparing a place for her feet. She gasped, dizzy with knowing. She cupped his jaw, thumb grazing stubble. He shivered like a tree in wind. She leaned in and kissed him. It was a careful kiss, the way you touch something newly mended and already precious. The bond sang, quiet, satisfied. When they climbed the path again, the yard was empty. Family knows when to give space. On the porch, Eli paused.
I have something.
He said, disappearing inside and returning with a parcel wrapped in brown paper and twine. She peeled it open and laughed, then cried. Wolves in winter, used, edges soft, the cover scarred with a water stain like an old bruise. A note tucked inside, block letters careful and proud. For Mandy, you are not alone. Blue, spelled right this time. You kept this? She asked, voice thick.
I tracked one down.
He said, cheeks coloring, the particular embarrassment of men caught doing something tender.
Thought we could start where we started wrong.
We started right, she said, stepping into him until there was no space. We just took the scenic route. They sank onto the steps, shoulder to shoulder, the night rustling with small domestic noises, the creak of the swing, the house settling, the soft thud of a future finding its shape in the dark.
Happily ever after isn't promised to people like us,
he said, tentative, as if testing a bridge. It is, she said, if we promise it to each other. He breathed out a long, grateful sound.
Happily ever after.
He repeated, making sure the words held.
Always.
Always, she echoed, and somewhere a wolf raised its head and howled once. Not warning, not mourning, answering. They would have years where it was easy and years where it wasn't. They would teach old laws to bend. They would keep their secret like a candle cupped against wind, bright enough to warm the hands that mattered. They would go to the creek on anniversaries and thank the water for remembering them. They would leave the porch light on. A boy named Blue and a girl named Mandy, meant to be together but torn apart, found each other again. Two hearts as one, fated mates, always and forever.